Shit. Welcome back to another episode of the Honest Tattooer podcast. We're so happy for you guys to join us. And as every week, my homie Matt Truiano in the building.
Hey, how you doing?
And this week we have the lovely Carolina Montoya in the house.
Hi, everyone.
So, how's it going, everybody?
Good, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's been a very hectic week for me. Freaking debut of Ink Master.
Oh yeah, dude, there's a conversation right there.
That's one freaking thing, man. The debut of Ink Master, and man, it was crazy to watch all of that going on, and to just, you know, one thing's like being in it, and then watching it and see how it all comes together. And just shout out to all the people that worked on that, because that's an incredible endeavor to make. You know, I'm a content creator and I make videos that are 12 seconds long, and sometimes I'll record 10 minutes to get like 12 good seconds. So you can only imagine how long it takes to get 48 amazing minutes in something that looks really cool and interesting to watch.
But it's not just 48 minutes, it's times 12 or however many episodes that was.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. But I mean, each episode, you know, each episode. So it's so much work that goes into it. So shout out to everybody that worked on that giant production.
So let me ask you something. So you make content. I mean, you see yourself in your own content every single day. And then whenever we do reels, like you always see yourself. How does it compare seeing yourself on TV?
I mean, for me, it doesn't feel any different.
Me watching it didn't look any different.
Yeah. For me, it doesn't feel any difference, because I'm just used to seeing myself on screens all the time, you know, and I'm very comfortable with it. So it doesn't bother me at all. And like, but it's cool to see it in super high quality cameras and like the crazy slow-mo shots and like all of the stuff that, you know, you had to do multiple times to get it right, you know, as far as just like, you know, just the way that you're being filmed, you know what I'm saying? Like when you see them do it multiple times to get it just right, like it's really, really freaking cool.
Yeah.
To just see all the work that goes into it. It's pretty rad. And also just, you know, seeing everyone's side commentaries. Those are always super fun.
How much of that did you witness on the spot?
None of it. Because like, you know, when I'm here, you know, talking to, you know, you or, you know, over there, like, you know, Gabe could be talking to somebody else and talking about. Oh, you
mean like that? Okay.
Right. Like that, you know, that you could be saying something over there about me and I don't know. And I might see you then on the show, you know? And like, ooh. So that's always pretty cool. And also, you know, like when you're talking and you're telling, you know, your version of the story or whatever and what's going on and how you felt and stuff like that. So it's just interesting to see it all put together in a way that is entertaining.
Do you remember in the real world, they had that extra content of the guys talking about the scene? It would be called the confessional.
Yeah.
What is it called now?
I mean, it's still kind of that, you know, it's just an interview, you know, so it's like,
but is there a title for that? Like it was specifically called the confessional in real world.
Like in Ink Master world, I think it's just called the interview. Yeah. Just an interview where you just kind of go about of like what happened and you just, you know, tell your story.
Cool. Yeah. It was fun to watch you. I was telling you this morning when I was watching it last night, it just seemed like I was just watching my buddies on, you know, on YouTube or whatever. Yeah. Like Bobby's there, Joel's there.
Yeah. It's so funny, man. Man.
Jazzy, I forgot about Jazzy too.
Yeah. So many people. It was cool to go there and then be like, oh, I know these people. Cool. It's like, it feels a little bit more comfortable.
You know what I did not like? And I feel like even if it was the case and they talked about it, it shouldn't have been aired, that Ryan and that other girl were like buddies. They did collaborations. And who's that? The blonde chick that does like the very similar style.
Yeah. Jenna Kerr. You know, she's a awesome tattooer, and yeah, like they've done collaborations together and they know each other very well.
They shouldn't have aired that,
you know, but I feel like it's a matter of transparency. You know, I feel like the fact that you're acknowledging it on,
I feel like it would have been worse if they found out after.
Exactly. Like if you pretend like they don't know each other and then people are like, look, they're buddies, you know?
When I auditioned for Best Ink, and one of the questions was, do you know any of the judges? And I was like, yeah, I got tattooed by Joe Cap. And I have other than me being a loser, I have a very strong suspicion that was the reason why I did not get called back.
Oh man. Well, I was on Best Think, and I also knew Joe Cap. I didn't get tattooed him, but I knew who he was. You know what I'm saying? I was like,
So you're a loser. 100%.
Knowing who he is and knowing him, though, is two different things.
Yeah. I didn't know him. You know, I had, seen him in conventions and said hello to him, and like.
Oh, by the way, Joe Cap's going to be on the episode 3 weeks from now?
3 weeks from now,
Yeah.
which would be probably, I'm super excited.
That's going
about
to be
this.
fun.
Yeah. He's like one of the most opinionated tattooers out there. And I love that shit, because obviously we are too. I mean, we have a podcast to talk about what we think. So it's good.
Let's thank everybody for supporting our Patreon page. Everyone there really contributes, even just a little bit. It helps a lot, and we really appreciate it. We'd like to give a shout out to every new patron who comes on, and this week we're giving a thank you to Tatiana Mattia. Tatiana M.
Why is he reading?
Tatiana M. Thank you very much for jumping on, but also thank you very much to everyone else who supports. If you'd like to support the show, go to patreon.com/honest tattooer, select the tier that's appropriate for you. And thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate your support. And most of all, we appreciate you sharing all of our clips on social media, sharing it with your, friends and even people that aren't tattooers. They like the podcast, and I really appreciate that. We try to talk about things that are going to bring you some value and entertain you at the end of the day, which also brings up the comments sections, which is like, I feel like the Honest Tattooer page is / the Modern Tattoo Forum. Yeah. You remember tattoo forums?
I do, of course.
Yeah, man. That was like the way, like one of my favorite ones. Back in the day, guys, when people went to the internet, there was not that many places to talk about tattoos with other tattooers. Social media wasn't huge. And I'm talking about like MySpace days, there was a thing called Inked Nation.
Ink Nation was brutal.
Ink Nation was brutal. And then.
Did you ever go on that?
No.
No. And then there was also Nick Baxter had.
Oh, that's right. He had his own little thing.
Within his website, he had a forum. People would go on there and they would just talk and share knowledge and ideas.
Didn't Jeff had one too? Jeff Ensminger?
I think he might have. I'm not 100% sure.
Do you remember checkoutmyink.com? That was another one.
Oh, no, I don't remember that one.
Yeah. That was another one. It wasn't as good as, so I felt like Ink Nation was more of tattooers kind of talking shit.
Yeah.
And then Check Out My Ink was more client-based.
Anybody, client based. So in these places, like you could ask questions, but you had no idea who the hell was really answering your question, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Now I feel like, that's gone, and what we have is like places kind of like our comment page. So in our Instagram, where everybody kind of throws, their opinions and their ideas, and man, there's a lot of arguments there.
There are. And it's funny too, is I even mentioned this on Derb's page with the tattooer with the sign.
Tattooer with a sign.
He'll put up a sign, a very controversial statement, and 99% of the people are all in agreement, and they're all like buddy with each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, if we put the same exact quote on our page, it would be a disaster.
People are like, what? Losing their minds. But I think that's good, man. Like, that, like, even like comments, like, we see you guys that are like, oh, you guys just had to go and have a tattoo podcast because, like, yeah, man, why not? Because we want to talk about tattooing. I like tattooing so much that I finish tattooing and then talk about it more after I'm done, dude. So, I mean, you go do that.
You go do that.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least, I'm out here using my time to give something away, give knowledge, and it's something that you support it if you like it. We started this out of the love of doing it. And never mind that lawnmower in the back is just G Money doing tats.
But yeah, no, you're right. I think it goes along with, a lot of topics and a lot of subjects of life that you should leave the area better than you came into it, right? So if you're just tattooing and you're being selfish and you're just taking from the tattoo world and not giving anything back, kind of a little bit of a dick.
Yeah.
Right?
I shared this with you the other day, and it was like a Arnold Schwarzenegger interview. I mean, the guy has all-star in so many aspects of his life. Became like the top thing that you could become as a bodybuilder, became the top movie star, then became a freaking politician and became a governor. I firmly believe that if he would have been born in this country, Arnold could be president.
Yeah, I can see that.
If he was born
Is that
in this,
the name of this episode?
Arnold for president.
Yeah.
Arnold for president. But I firmly believe it. But like one of the things that, you know, he's doing now is just, he's kind of like an influencer now, and he's just trying to help people. And he talks about when he won his like third, like Mr. Olympia. He said that he won it. It was like the third in a row. He had already won so many things. And he was like, I'm not even that happy that he wasn't even that stoked about it, you know? And he said that at that moment, he was like, man, if any of these other guys that are competing against me would have won, they would have been way happier than I am right now. He's like, at that moment, that's when I knew I needed to get out of this. I need to get it out of competing and figure something else out. And that's when he set his mind on like, I want to be a freaking movie star. I want to be a movie star. And then after he became a movie star doing all the action roles, he was like, I want to do comedy. And he's always found ways to reinvent himself. And I think that like, I freaking love tattooing. And I also love helping people. And I love inspiring people. And that was one of the things that motivated me to want to even try to do this, you know? Because like I said, at the end of the day, like, you know, like what you're saying, like, what are you leaving behind? You know, who are you inspiring? How would you really make your mark? We do all these cool tattoos and we can spend a lot of time on them, man. But I'm sorry to say, something happens to your client, all those hours are gone, man. Yeah. You know, at the end of the day, like that art's gone. It's not like, you know, when people make paintings of oil and keep them preserved and nice, you know, like art deteriorates and disappears, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, say what you want about Russ Abbott. I know that right now he's kind of one of those guys that you either love him or you hate him, but he's the guy right now that is setting the standard of like, what can you do in the tattoo industry other than tattooing to really make your mark? Like there's a bunch of podcasts out right now, big fucking whoop, right?
Yeah.
But he's actually doing something really impressive with, you know, his website with the brushes, all the courses that he's making, the whole controversial with the pricing guideline thing.
The pricing guidelines and stuff like that.
But like he's doing things to make a mark and like make his name in the tattoo world as something other than a tattooer.
Yeah.
You got to use your position the best you can. And the higher you are, the best you need to do it, you know? You need to just help as much as you can.
Yeah.
I mean, information is out there, but if you have good information, you have to share it. Like your responsibility, I guess.
Nah, you got to gatekeep that shit.
I mean, if you really want to help, if you really want to do something about it, there's just, like I said, there's so much information out there that if you have the right one, why not?
Absolutely. We had a few people that were just young, either tattooers or wannabe tattooers, like stop by here and just be like, hey man, like I just watch your podcast and I'm just avid listener and I'm just so stoked on everything that you guys talk about. And like, that feels so good, you know, to just know that like, there's somebody out there that's like, oh man, I find value in this, you know? And I feel like whether you like our conversations or not, you know, I feel like there's still conversations that should be fucking being had in our industry. And like anything from like what we talked about with, about the Tattoo Artists Alliance, you know, and about, you know, getting together and about, you know, unifying the tattoo industry and things like that. Like those are things that aren't talked about very often, you know?
Can I pause you for 1 second?
Yeah.
You hit record, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I said like, oh, I'm recording, but I didn't think you heard me, but like, yes, I've been recording. It's just good.
No, the reason why I ask is because I had the audio recording for a while. I don't even know how long we've been going right now.
I didn't hit this to know either. So I don't know either.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I could see it on the thing.
It doesn't really matter.
Who cares? But I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, sorry. But
Okay.
I had to do that because if we did a whole nother episode without video, I'd
Oh
be
my God, I'd
pretty
be so
cheesed.
That you did that.
Oh yeah, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago,
Nice.
No.
a full on episode. With,
And then, so I didn't tell you this, but I guess I'll tell you now that we're, in the confessional, right? The episode with Ryan that came out on Monday, I never published. I totally forgot. I just did it now. I totally forgot to
yeah,
do that.
I just forgot to publish it completely. Like, now it's on. That's so funny. Like, boom, there it is.
It's a lot to remember.
It is a lot to remember, man. And it's like, with everything else that, we've got going on, it's hard to keep up with like everything. So, I mean,
Yeah, so sorry if you were waiting Monday. Because what's funny is I publish Sunday night into Monday at midnight for the audio.
Yeah.
And when I wake up and I check it in the morning, there's consistently 46 people who listen to it from the time I publish it at midnight to the time I get up at like 7 o'clock in the
That
morning.
is so cool.
So I felt bad for those 46
Yeah.
people that I
they're
don't
like, what the fuck? This is what I do on my drive home at this point in time.
My coffee's not the same.
Yeah, I'm like, God dang it.
That is so cool.
I get it because I have, I feel like everybody has like their little routines,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
sorry guys, whoever you 46 people are.
Also, if you would like to join the team at Honest Tattooer because you have some major editing skills, holler at us,
Ooh.
Yeah. If you like what we're doing and you want to contribute, not on camera, but behind the scenes, we would love somebody that is into what we're doing and wants to contribute. So send us an DM, send us an email, and maybe we can talk to you guys.
Yeah. We now have a couple of funds to be able to pay you to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's why.
Honest Tattooer is brought to you by Ink Maps, the ultimate tattoo app for tattooers. Upload your image and instantly read dominant colors and get precise color matches for any tattoo ink brand. You can mix colors, see how they look on your client's skin tone, and even explore value isolation and stencil creation. Compare brands, dive into color properties, and achieve perfect color harmony every time. Import your palettes into Procreate and Photoshop, plus conveniently attach projects to clients for future reference. You can simplify your tattoo process with Ink Maps. Download now and revolutionize your artistry. Use coupon code HONESTTattooer for 50% off your first year subscription. Honest Tattooer is also brought to you by Tattoo Armor, literally the best way to wrap your client at the end of the day. No mess, no adhesives, and they are super comfortable. You can try it for yourself by going to tattooarmorusa.com. They were able to hook us up with a 20% discount for our followers. Just use the code HONESTTattooer on your next order.
So what do you guys tattoo today?
So today I colored in 2 bunnies and a German Shepherd that I outlined like 3 years ago.
Damn.
Yeah. And the girl, I didn't want to ask her because I know that she didn't come in sooner because she got pregnant. And I don't know how old her kid is, but she said that she's only missed like a year and a half of time, which I felt like it was a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
And then I remembered her. I didn't tattoo her in this shop. I tattooed her at Bowery.
Oh, yeah.
So that was at least
like
2 years
3 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years,
But I want to be like, you don't know how old your kid is? Like, I don't
Like, this timeline's off.
Yeah, it was fun. Luckily, I still had her emails. I had all the pictures from that she sent me of her little pets. So I got the color in. Yeah, 2 bunnies and a German Shepherd. Again, it was one of those things where like I put this weird frame around it that I probably thought was a cool idea back then. But now looking at it, I was like, why did I do that?
Why did I put a frame?
Yeah.
Man, that's the thing about tattoos, man. Like, you could do a tattoo, you see it again in like 2 weeks, and you're like, what was my mind at that moment?
Oh, yeah. And even then, I'll put this up on screen. So she sent me multiple pictures of each animal that she wanted on. Just gave me different variations of whichever reference picture I wanted to use. She was like, just do whatever you want with them.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously I picked one of them then. And then when I opened up the email today and I saw the 2 pictures of the German Shepherd that she sent me, one was like this beautifully lit, high def, like really crisp photo. For whatever fucking reason, I picked like the blurry ass picture to tattoo on her. I was like, why did I do this?
Why did I choose this?
Yeah, there had to have been a reason, but I don't know what it was.
Time passed. See, now you could just grab that photo, send it into Midjourney,
Oh god.
and have it redraw that thing and make it look sharper. You're like, hey, sharpen this image up. Maybe you may be able to do that on the new like Photoshop like thing.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I don't think it will though. Cause normally with that, it'll generate a new image.
Okay. It'll just create a whole new thing.
I have a couple of years ago, during pandemic, I was doing a bunch of pet portraits for clients, and my neighbor caught wind that I was doing that. He asked me to do one of his dog that died. So I did him a little portrait. Fast forward to now, one of his friends saw that portrait at his house and asked him if he could ask me to do one. Mm-hmm. I'm not really doing them anymore. Like, I had the time during the pandemic. We weren't tattooing, so I was able to bust them out. Now I don't really have the time to do it. So I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll get around to it. Mind you, this was about a year ago that he asked me to do this. I still haven't done it yet. And
hi, guy, for the portrait. He hasn't started.
I've been trying to figure out a way to just import this photo into Midjourney or even into Photoshop that has like the new generative fill in there to kind of make it look painterly. And then I can just kind of do some shit over it to kind of put my touch on it.
Yeah.
I still haven't figured out the right way to do that without it looking completely different than the photo that was given to me. It's trying to just generate a whole new photo that's not the dog.
It's not the dog. Interesting.
And all that time that I wasted trying to do, I could have done it like 4 times over.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But I feel like sometimes, like I don't mind spending time to figuring out the shortcut, because then even though if it takes a lot of time, that first time from that point forth, you're like, I figured out a new trick, man. It's going to move faster. No point on,
100%. So there's a podcast that I listen to called Making It. Mm-hmm. And if you guys know who these people are, it's Jimmy DiResta, Bob Clagett, and David something. I forgot his last name. But anyway, they're all YouTubers. They're all like, they have their own channel of making things, woodworking, electronics, stuff. And Jimmy DiResta's quote all the time is, when you're doing stuff like that, where you're spending a whole bunch of time figuring something out, that you're wasting your time essentially. Like you could have been using that time more productively, making money, doing something.
Yeah.
He calls that going to school. Yeah. He's like, going to school. Like, I went to school on this one. Yeah. I learned how to do it. Now, next time I can do it better.
Now I can do it better. Yeah. And I think that's important to do. Sometimes like people get stuck on doing things the long way because it's the way that they know to do it, because they don't want to go to school and they figure out a way to do it faster. I feel like there's two camps of, of thought in tattooing right now. The people that are like, you got to draw with pencil and paper and trace things. And then there's I'm doing everything digital, right. Even like you make you made a post the other day, Truiano, about like making like a 1-of-1 print.
Right. Yeah.
Which like, I know some like traditional tattooer was like rolling. Like, oh my God, he should have painted that with like watercolor. Like, what is this?
Yeah, probably.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what? This is not real art. Like I'm sure somebody was like just dying over it.
Part of me feels the same way.
Yeah.
Even though like, yes, it's a 1-of-1 print. It's not, first of all, because I printed at least 5 of them before I got the one that I liked.
Yeah.
On different types of papers. I even, after I printed it, I was like, let me adjust this. I'll go back in, print another one. So there's at least 6 of them right now.
Yeah.
And I could easily just make more if I wanted to.
Right.
So, I get it. But the whole point of that post was saying that you can have something exclusive and still be digital print, as long as you stick to your word and actually don't make any more copies of it.
Right. And I think there's another layer to that, where you can make a print and then do hand embellishments, to it, like do another layer that you actually do paint on, not as elaborate, of course, as doing the whole painting, but you can make it a little bit more customized and just make it like each one a 1-of-1. Yeah. And I do like that. And I like when artists do that stuff.
That was my intention. I just ran out of time. So, the print that I made was for Steve Martin. He's a tattooer out near Philadelphia. I don't think he's in Philadelphia. He owns a shop called Black Moth Gallery. Every year he does a small art gallery show, and everything's got to be under 12 by 12. So last year I put in like a 2x2 painting.
Oh shit.
Yeah. This year, again, he asked me to join. I'm like, of course I'll do it. But I wound up getting sick, still a little nasally. And I just didn't feel like doing shit.
Yeah.
And then I totally forgot about it. So then he texts me. He's like, hey, dude, you're going to do something? And, it's got to be in by tomorrow. I was like, well, fuck, dude, like you're in Philadelphia, I'm in New York City. Even if I do it right now, it's not getting to you by tomorrow.
Yeah.
But the intention was for me to do a digital print and then hand embellish it. I was like, I can't. Can't do it. Don't have the time. So I just busted something out and I shipped it to him.
Nice.
But it's there, or at least hopefully it's there.
Hopefully you made it there. Hopefully you made it there.
Hopefully.
But yeah, check out that show if you're in the Philadelphia area. It should be pretty cool. There's a bunch of cool artists there. A lot of sculptures too, a lot of small sculptures.
I think that sculptures are probably one of my favorite things about like just art wise. Like I like sculptures more than like paintings are cool, but like fucking a sculpture, it's like that 3D factor, dude.
Yeah.
It's just so tight.
Yeah.
Whenever I go to like the Met, you know, the Museum of Metropolitan Art here in New York, it's incredible, guys. If you haven't been to, if you ever come close, please go see it because it's so sick. It's incredible. And I actually got the opportunity to go to some of the big museums in Italy and see some of like the most famous, you know, sculptures. And it's just like, damn, dude. Like the amount of skill that it took to just take a giant piece of marble and then take your time with it and it just blows my mind.
Yeah,
dude.
me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, there's like very, very famous sculpture that there's like, it has something that it's like just a hand gripping a thigh and like this one like form where it's like just a hand gripping a thigh, man. And the way that it looks, like it's just that cave indentation. It's like, it's so realistic looking and it's just like solid stone, but it's so well done that it's just like,
It looks soft, right?
it looks soft.
I've seen people do that on a table, a wooden table. They'll carve in like waves that look like it's rippling water. Or like I've seen one that was like skulls that were like kind of indented into the wood, but the wood looked like pillows. Like it was just soft looking.
Wild, dude.
Yeah,
It's
incredible.
Wow. That's so impressive.
But at least wood, I understand a little bit better. Like you could take sandpaper and really smooth it down and get it nice and soft. Like how do you do that with stone?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same concept, I guess. It's just
Yeah.
when you're doing that 300 years ago.
Yeah. I remember I was talking with
no tools.
Matt Buck about that. And he was like, there was no TikTok, bro. No TikTok to get, you know, distracted, you know, like how many times you like sit down and draw something and then beam, you get an alert and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh fuck, I was going to draw.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's Apollo and Daphne.
There's a what?
Apollo and Daphne.
Apollo and Daphne. I think you're right.
I think
You know, cause it's like, he's like kind of holding her up or something like that.
grabbing her. I think that's the one. Yeah.
You did some digital sculpting, right? The Procreate 3D
Nomad.
Nomad.
Yeah.
How is that? Do you still do that?
Yeah. I do sometimes.
All right. Talk about it.
I'm not good at it.
Well, that's how you learn. Let's talk about it.
I'm not good at it. I just like to watch YouTube videos and just play around with it. I feel like it's relaxing. I feel like it's in some ways kind of like actual sculpting. So you get to, I don't know, just like sit there and sculpt and just change and play with the shapes and everything.
So is it like, because I've never used this program at all, so talk to me like I'm a 4-year-old. Is it like,
Okay.
do you pick material? Do you pick tools? Do you like, how do you actually sculpt something? Is it clay? Are you using your hands? Like,
It's like clay and you can change how sticky it is in a way.
okay.
And you can also select the shape you're going to start with. So is it going to be like a flat thing or you're going to start with a cube? And I feel like that should be the easiest way with a cube.
Okay.
So you can also add and change the lighting and that helps a lot. So you can like see everything that you're doing. It's pretty cool.
I wonder if you can sculpt something and then 3D print it.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
That is pretty sweet.
Are you going to get a 3D printer now?
No,
They're not expensive.
they're not.
They're not?
They're
I really
not.
thought they were expensive
But
for some reason.
what I've had some friends that have done it in their house, and I feel like, well, not my experience, but my friend's experience was that the chemicals and everything is just hard to.
Yeah, I mean,
at
you
home.
definitely got to protect yourself.
Yeah.
There's different types. There's the one that I would think about getting if I were to get one is a resin printer.
Yeah.
And
But you also have a big house. Or like you can do it on the basement or something. Because that's the thing. Like it has to have a space.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you can get a desktop one though.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there are like massive ones that take up a lot of space, but you can get a desktop one. I've seen guys that have like just those, like wire
cube,
racks.
Right? Okay.
And just have like a couple of them just on a shelf.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Like they're not that I mean, you can get a big one, but there's also small ones that you can they're tabletops.
Okay.
But yeah, the ones that I kind of had my eye on were the resin 3D printers.
Okay.
And instead of using filament and like have spools of all this plastic all over the place, it's resin that you have to cure.
Oh, okay.
But from what I understand, it's a little bit less toxic, I think.
Okay.
And less wasteful.
Man, I hope one day in the future, we all have just a 3D printer at home. And whenever you need something, you just print it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh man.
We're not that far.
Oh,
No,
man.
we're not, dude. I'm telling you, we're not. My cousin was dating this guy. I don't know what he did for work, but he was telling me one time, he was like, yeah, dude, if I just need a screw, I just make a screw. Like, okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of phenomenal, dude.
Yeah.
If I need a nut, I just make a nut.
You just make it. You're like, oh, just make that real quick.
Yeah.
That's great. Because sometimes like, you're like, oh man, I need a wrench, a very specific size wrench, and you don't have it. And you're like, print that real quick. Just boom, get it done, dude. Oh, what a dream.
Yeah. If I had the space, this is totally off topic of anything tattoo related. If I had the space, I would add, because I've got the big inkjet printer. I've got a laser cutter. I would definitely want to get a 3D printer, and I would also want to get a CNC machine.
Oh,
A what?
a CNC machine.
What is that?
That cuts steel.
Oh, okay.
Well, it could, yeah, but it's basically, it's like the laser, like you kind of throw in your points on your computer and then it sends to the machine, but it's a router.
Okay.
And just, all like the machine builders, they're making their machine frames, cutting from a CNC machine.
Oh, cool. You want to talk about what you did today?
Oh yeah, what I did today. So today my guy wanted, it's funny because at first during a consultation, he said that he wanted to get a Ronin. So a Ronin, if you don't know what it is like it's like a rogue samurai, it's like a samurai that is no longer wearing his armor or covering his face. He's just like walks around like a regular guy, but he carries a sword. And he wanted him standing over an Oni that he was like killing, right? And then 2 days ago, right before his appointment, he's like, I changed my mind. Like I don't want it anymore. I just want him standing holding the head of the Oni. And I was like, all right, cool. So then today, this is funny, man. As I'm like drawing stuff up and everything, he's like, hey, by the way, man, I got to leave at like 5:30. Oh. And I'm like, why, man? He's like, cause I got this, like, I got to be at home because I got this like, foot ankle bracelet, like this ankle bracelet that shows that he has to be at home, at a certain time. So like, man, we only got to do the outline of it, but I'm really, really stoked on how it is. And, I brought him over to you because he wanted this design so small and like the dude has an open arm, and he wants to do a sleeve.
I got to continue.
He wanted to do a sleeve and I'm like, dude, like, let's plan the sleeve then. Like, let's just talk about the sleeve and plan the sleeve. Like, you don't have to lay out the whole sleeve now, but at least if we have a plan, we can start moving in the right direction. And I gave him this analogy and I was like, imagine any building, right? Imagine if every building, you're like, oh, I want a 10-story building, but let's just build out a floor at a time and let years go by. And we're going to keep adding floors. How do you think that building's going to look, at the end of the 10 years? Because there was no rhyme or reason. It was just adding floors as you went along. It's not going to make a lot of sense. It's not going to look the same. It's not going to like be as strong as if we just sat down, figured out what the whole thing was like, and then took 10 years to build it. Very different approach, So I was like, today we have the time to sit down and figure this part out. And like, that's one of those things where like, I'm glad that, I can bring people to like Matt, for example, and be like, hey, dude, just vouch for what I'm trying to preach to this guy right here, dude, because I'm trying to teach him the ways.
I feel like I fucked up though. I know that's what you wanted me to do, but I feel like I went in the wrong direction.
No, it was
What
still
did you
good.
say?
Well, so the guy wanted to start from the wrist up,
You're right.
and John wanted to start from the shoulder down.
Yeah.
And I kind of said to go from the wrist up too.
Right.
But overall, all I just wanted was
You wanted to go bigger.
I just wanted to go bigger with what
You
he
wanted
wanted.
to have the whole idea
Yeah.
done together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, he wanted, he wanted more visible tattoos. He wanted to like a tattoo that went from his wrist to his elbow because you could start seeing that right away. And it's very instant gratification,
Yeah.
But like, I was like, I know that sounds cool, but like overall, like just think about when your arm's done. That's what matters the most. The end result matters more than what happens during this one session. And that you're going to have that full just for today.
Yeah. And the analogy that I gave was thinking about composing your sleeve. Think of your arm as a canvas and think of your canvas as a Bob Ross painting.
Okay.
Those clouds and the mountains with the snow caps are at the top of the canvas, but they're in the background.
Okay.
And the little house and the river and all that stuff in the foreground is the bottom of the canvas. So that's the bottom of the arm. So I was saying to put the guy on the bottom of his arm and have like his head be in front of all the stuff in the background, which would be on the upper arm.
Same, and I was like, yeah, man, that's what we're trying to do, man. He's like, well, he said
Poor
this, but I
guy.
just thought it was
The
interesting.
building by Bob Ross.
Well, you got to try to, eventually he got it, like
Yeah.
he understood it, because it's like, you got to give some people like,
glad he did.
multiple, angles until they figure out what you're trying to say.
Right.
And then I told him, I was like, look, dude, like, cause he said this, he's like, I don't know if I want my arm to just be about this. And then I'm like, well, if you don't make it about this, then what are you going to make it of? Because if we put this here, you're going to have an equal part up top to fill it up. And it's going to be just like two things competing for attention on your arm. Where if you like this much and you like this design, let's make him up front be about this. And then everything else that we do is going to complement this and is going to make for a better sleeve. And finally he was like, you know what, man, I believe it. Let's freaking do it. And as soon as it's crazy when you see somebody's face change, as soon as like the stencil on and you peel it off and they're like, I see it now. It's like, cause you can have it on paper, printed and everything, but you got to put it on. And then you peel that stencil off and they see it and they're like, oh yes, this is good. So we only got to do the outline of it for today, which is like only like an hour worth of lining and stuff like that. And I'm stoked. I think it'll be a really, really cool piece after we like finish everything else that's going to come. But
I think you skipped over the best part of the story though, or at least what could be the best part. Why is he on house arrest?
I don't know. I didn't even ask, But
If you're watching this.
I know. I have no idea. I didn't ask. I didn't ask, There's things that I'm just like, I don't need to know.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to know. I don't need to know.
That's so funny. Whenever I go home and I talk about, like, if this was my client and I told this to Nicole and I didn't come with a reason why this guy was on house arrest,
Drive her nuts. Drive her nuts.
Go back.
what? How do you not ask something like that?
I was like, it had to do with the tattoo at all. What'd I ask him? Oh man. What did you tattoo today, Carl?
I did a tree with a paddle.
With a paddle?
Yes.
Not a puddle.
Not a puddle.
Can we put captions on this, please? Yes. With a canoe paddle. It was really cool. I was telling Matt before that I feel like trees are always so challenging, like drawing, paintings, everything. I feel like they can be weird looking.
Not if you do it like Bob Ross.
No, not if you're Bob Ross.
And if you're Bob Ross.
But I was really happy with the one that I did today.
Yeah, it came out really, really cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
doing like just like that, a bunch of leaf texture, to make it look. Yeah. Foliage.
Foolish. Yeah.
So what did you do the whole thing with a 3?
3 and 11 RM round magnum.
Where did you put that?
I do layers. So what I usually do is just layers. I start with the 3RL. I kind of like select the area and do like layers of different tones. And then with the Magnum, what I do is that I blend everything in so it's like softer. And after that, I do like more
More texture.
more texture. Yeah.
Ah,
Man.
yeah, that was impressive.
Yeah, it's hard to do like tree until like one day I was like, oh yeah, just blur your eyes. Just blur your eyes, bro.
Just close your eye.
Yeah, just close your eyes. You don't need to see that much, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, it needs to look fuzzy like a tree, you know?
So you did a tree with a tree liner.
Yeah.
So when you first explained to me, or when you told me what the composition was, my neo-trad brain thought of something very different than what the final tattoo was.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So I thought it was going to be an oar or paddle, and then like trees or foliage kind of like framing around it.
Oh, okay.
That's not at all what it was.
No, it's like
It's a different bot.
Yeah, it's a different one.
Yeah, yours is more surrealistic.
Yeah, that's what I say too. Surrealistic. Yeah, it's like the tree becomes the oar.
Yeah,
Type of deal.
yeah, that's cool. One of the things I wanted to talk about, I think you'd actually get a kick out of this too. Going back to talking about comments and just arguing with people on the comment section. I saw a video of this girl. She had a watercolor palette, and she started at the top of her palette. It's one of those divided ones that have like all the different, what do you call them? Plates?
Yeah, the
Bowls,
little
dishes, whatever.
Yeah.
So she started at the top with red, blue, yellow. And then she showed all these different colors that you can make just mixing the primary colors. And then everyone in the comment section was like, oh yeah, we all learned this in 3rd grade. No, this is nothing new. Like just, being the typical troll.
Yeah.
And then there was one comment that I thought was trolling. And she was like, but those aren't primaries. She's like, where's magenta and where's cyan? And a part of me wanted to comment back and just like be a troll back to this troll. But then I thought about it. I was like, wait a minute, that kind of sounds right. Because if you look at every printer that's out there, it's not RBYK, it's CMYK. Why is that? Because cyan and magenta are the actual primaries. So I wound up looking it up, and there's a lot of articles about how cyan and magenta are like the new modern primaries, and everything that we've been taught as a kid as red, blue, and yellow being the primary colors.
I'm out.
It's not true.
I feel like it's simpler to teach to a kid.
No, not necessarily.
Well, I feel, because like when you mix it, like when you're trying to teach color theory, I feel like it's easier to,
I feel like it's just
break
different.
this down.
It's just a different thing.
It's just a different method. So what I found out is that the reason why red and blue were used as opposed to magenta and cyan is because red is cheaper to make and produce. Blue is cheaper to make and produce than this magenta and the cyan.
Oh, interesting.
So basically, because of finances, we were taught red and blue were primaries, but they're not.
They're not.
And mixing colors from red and blue, you can still create everything that you can create with cyan and magenta, but the colors are actually richer using cyan and magenta than blue and red.
That makes sense. Especially even what you're saying. That's probably why they're more expensive. Because you're going to get a richer color off of that than anything else.
Man, I want to Google this because I feel like there's also a factor, and I feel like not all colors have been around as long as others. And I feel like red has been around more than magenta.
Probably, yeah.
Because,
Yeah. Yeah. So what we were taught as kids is that the reason why there are primary colors is because you cannot mix a color to make red, but you can. Printers doing it every day that you try to print red on a piece of paper. It's being made.
But I mean like way before.
No, I know what you mean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay.
Trying to make, red from like natural sources or trying to get magenta from a natural source must be really fucking hard to get.
Exactly.
Right.
Like even on fabrics, like
Right.
old fabrics, there was no magenta.
No. But it's easier to find
Easier
stuff to
find
make
something
red.
Red, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe it was the only way for a long time. Now it's not. And the other one is totally accepted.
Yeah. Researching it more, they're saying, so now if magenta, cyan, and yellow are your primaries, what does that make red and blue? Because they're not your secondaries. Your secondaries are still going to be green, orange, and purple. So now what's red and blue in there? and they're calling those intermediate colors. It's still in there in between red and blue, cyan and magenta. There's going to be like your value shifts. So your secondary colors are still in there, but then your intermediate colors are also inside there.
Why aren't they secondary if they're... How do you get the blue?
Let me look it up. You get the blue by mixing.
You gotta Google this.
Yeah, because I wasn't taught this. I don't know.
Yeah. This.
So, all right, this article is saying color terminology is specific enough that we have a better way of describing the rightful places of red and blue on the wheel, not as primary or secondary colors, but as intermediate colors. Intermediate colors are made by mixing a primary and a secondary together. Okay. So if your primary is, in this case, magenta, your secondary is orange, then your intermediate is your red. Which is basically saying, because in order to get your orange, you have to use that yellow.
Yeah.
So you're basically using magenta and yellow to make your red. Just
to make your red.
I guess at different rates or different ratios.
Yeah. Would anybody dare to try this in tattooing? I would love to know.
Oh, so all right, let's keep going on it. So remember a couple of weeks ago, I was telling you about the Zorn palette?
Yeah, I remember.
So the Zorn palette, this guy, Anders Zorn, he's an old time painter. I forgot, like 1800s. He came up with his palette of only using red, yellow ochre, and black. And he replaced the traditional primary colors or the color wheel with that palette. And basically you can make a whole new color wheel that's more subdued and a little bit more natural looking.
Yeah.
You don't have like these vibrant blues and like these weird, cool colors that just didn't fit with what he felt was appropriate for his paintings.
Yeah.
So I tried implementing those colors into my tattoo work and only mixing colors based off of red and ochre and black to get the palette that I want. Mm-hmm. And I wound up buying a 4-ounce bottle of dark ochre from Eternal.
I saw it.
A 4-ounce bottle of, was it light red? I think it was light red.
Yeah.
And then an 8-ounce bottle of black. And what I would have done in the past is just taken a little squeeze from different tones or different shades of like yellows and browns to kind of get the colors that I want. Mm-hmm. And then I'll do like a deep red, a dark red, a light red, and just, squeeze a little bit.
Yeah.
But in order for me to make all these colors, I had to squeeze out so much because it was like, even though I was only doing the same amount of caps, I felt like I was wasting so much because it would be a full cap of ochre in each one. And then there's like 1 drop of black in here, 2 drops of black in here.
Oh, shit. Yeah,
and then like 1 drop of red in here. So I would like fill out 10 caps of the same yellow ochre and just waste like an entire bottle on one small tattoo.
Oh man. I think that's the time to reach out to Eternal and be like, hey guys, let's make a...
Were you getting the same tones that you would get from just a made color, like an ink that already comes from Eternal?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. So no.
Yeah, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, it wasn't worth it.
It was a cool experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool to try it out.
Yeah. But I was definitely being super wasteful doing that. Don't recommend it.
The Zorn.
So Anders Zorn was a Swedish painter.
Wait. Was he Tenebrism? From Tenebrism? Tell me.
From what?
Tenebrism.
What is that?
It has to say there.
Anders Leonard Zorn was a Swedish painter. He attained international success as a painter, sculptor, and etching artist. What? Tenenism? What are you saying?
Tenebrism.
Tenebrism. He was like the late 1800s to early 1920s. What is it? You don't know. What are you saying? Tenebrism?
You say it.
Yeah, you're saying it right. I just
okay.
Tenebrism. From Italian, tenebroso. Also occasionally called dramatic illumination, is a style of painting used especially pronounced. Oh, chiaroscuro. Yeah. All right. If you said that, I would have known what you're talking about.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
Yeah, guys. So the other day I was, sitting at home thinking about a lot of shit. And I kind of started writing some thoughts down about about tattooing and about like, I'm very grateful about the people that I tattoo with and that I always feel inspired by them. And then I always feel motivated to continue to grow. You know, I've been tattooing for a long time and I feel like the longer you tattoo, the harder it is to stay motivated and still and keep pushing yourself, you know, because over time, the effort that it takes to push yourself is a lot higher. You need a lot more input to get the same output, you know, out of yourself. So I'll share this with you guys and I hope you guys like it. So the title of this is You Are a Reflection of Your Circle, From Friends to Tattoo Artists. We've often heard the saying that you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. This timeless wisdom holds that our ambitions, our dreams, and even our daily habits are deeply influenced by those that we surround ourselves. And it's not just about shared time, it's about the shared energy, values, and aspirations. In the world of tattooing, I firmly believe that this philosophy extends even further. You are a measure of the closest 5 tattooers that you work with. Each tattoo artist carries their own set of skills, experiences, and stories. And when we closely work with these people, we absorb a bit of their artistry, their techniques, their vision, and we learn, grow, and evolve, not just as individual artists, but as a collective. So whether it's life or tattooing, it's essential to just choose your circle wisely. Surround yourself with those who push you, who inspire you, and challenge you to be better every day. Let their excellence drive you, their passion fuel you, and their wisdom guide you. Because at the end, it's not just about the ink, the tattoos, but the legacy that we leave behind in our art, in our relationships. Choose your circle with intention and watch as it shapes you and it does elevate you. And make sure that you value those people and that what you give them is what they'll give you back. So I hope it resonates with you and I hope you take that with you. That's all I got to say.
That was beautiful, man.
Thanks, man.
That was really nice.
Peace, guys.
I feel like we should say at least a goodbye, though.
He's gonna drop the mic. He's gonna drop the mic. He's gonna drop.
Edit it back. Anyways, I really hope you guys, you know, take some out of that and figure out a way to apply that into your daily life. And if, you know, you're not inspired by the people that you work with, you know, maybe you can be the one that inspires them and you can change the tone of those relationships that you have, you know, because sometimes, you know, it takes someone, you know, to call somebody else's bullshit and be like, hey man, you know, like everybody's worked with someone that you've seen them like be in their zone and then over time kind of degrade, you know, because they get out of their zone. And that's normal. That's just life, man. You could just be having, you know, a tough season, you know, either life gets in the way, you're not as focused. And I think that like having people around you that are able to just be like, hey man, what's going on, dude? And just call you out on your own shit and be like, dude, I've seen you do better, man. Like what's good, you know? Yeah. Sometimes it takes a little bit of a conversation to really, you know, bring you back. And, you know, having that vulnerability, tell that to somebody else, you know, gives them also the you know, the power to give that back to you when you need it, you know, have that little pep talk of like, hey man, what's going on, dude? You know, get focused. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. You know, so without further ado, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Cara, for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Always. And Matt, thank you, man.
All right, man. You got it. Have a good one.
Peace, guys. See you in the next one.
Bye.